Joining us at the desk this afternoon via Zoom is the head coach of the Spring Hill Panthers, Coach Garrett Methvin. Coach, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing all right, doing all right.
Well, let's talk about your Spring Hill Panthers, man. You are now went to the state tournament last year, lost to Corpus Christi Cal Allen in a tough one in 8 innings in a semifinal game. Going to the first state championship game in Spring Hill history. Coach, what are the emotions going through you right now?
Oh, it's just, I mean, it's exciting first and foremost. It's a blessing to, to even to be this far, to be where we're at. And, we're just excited about where we're at as a team and what's going on in the community and, being able to do this for the community. And, the boys are fully bought in and they're excited about what's going on.
Well, take me back to the series against Brock. As it was a hard fought game one for sure. I was watching it and keeping up with it. Take me through that game and the battle that your kids showed, being down late in that ball game, fighting back, and being able to win that one. Just talk about the kind of the intensity and the adversity that y'all faced, but were able to battle through it.
Oh yeah, I mean it was definitely an instant classic. Nerve rattling the whole game. But there was a time in that game where I went and talked to Grant and the team, on the mound, and it was a time that most people might have pulled him, or we might have made some changes, and it started to look bad. And I told Grant, I was like, I need you to get me out of this one. And we made a huge play on a bunt. He tagged the guy at home, and we were still down 5-2 at the time, but they were trying to squeeze home another run, and we got him out and got out of that inning, brought in our reliever Mason Barnes, and he got us through the rest of the game to the seventh, and we put up the runs late, and kind of the rest became history. But this little things like that people look at and go, man, it's time to take them out, or it's time to make a change, or those outs early in games don't mean much. But that was definitely a gut wrenching performance by the whole team. That was the most put together performance offensively to come in and to do what we were able to do at the end. They, the boys never stopped battling, and they competed till the very last out. And so did Brock. Hats off to them. They came back and made it interesting in the eighth as well. But we were able to dig deep and find that resiliency we needed to get through the end of that game.
As a coach, when you're watching a game like that and you see your pitcher out there and maybe, like you said, fans and other people may want you to take him out, as a coach, how do you gauge that? Is it just a feeling that you have, or is it different with each kid too, or how do you know whether or not to make that right move and pull him or keep him in?
Well, I mean, sometimes it's a feeling, but a lot of times it's just knowing your kids. It's reading the vibe of your kids. It's knowing where they're at and how they're feeling, and just knowing it's an open line of communication. We talk about being honest with each other and having upstanding character as men, and part of that is being honest with your coaches on things. And Grant told me, he's like, Coach, I can get out of it. I was like, all right, get me out of this inning. So he did that, and like I say, Barnes came in and took care of the rest, and it was just it was fun to watch, fun to be a part of, and hats off, full credit to all the boys for not giving up in that game.
Well, take me through this season, Coach. I know, obviously, like we talked about, made it to the state tournament last season. So coming into this season, there were high expectations around the Panther baseball program. So talk to me a little bit about how you went through this season, kind of with those expectations and being able to put together such a successful year and get back to the state title game.
Well, for us, it was a grind. It starts for us in the fall. The boys showed up on August. We had a meeting about getting back to this moment on day one when we showed up back to school, and so we set the standard right then and there and the expectation. And so every day is the mindset of compete to a standard. It's not necessarily compete to your best. It's compete to the standard, and we try to set that standard of excellence, and that goes as far as showing up for the weight room 4 times a week all fall, and then continuing to lift throughout the season, and it's going to the track, getting faster, and then coming out and practicing every single day, and practicing to that standard of, was today good enough to win a state championship? And if it's not, we reevaluate and we come back the next day and try to be better. And it's been a daily battle, and I think getting the boys to buy into, hey, today's got to be a good day. Go 1-0 today if it's a game day, and that's kind of how we view it and how we present it to the boys. And they've completely bought into it. And it seems like a long time coming, but it seems like we just started yesterday. So now we're here. So it's great to be here for sure.
Well, let's talk about this state game coming up on Friday. You're taking on Wimberley at 9 o'clock at Dale Diamond on Friday morning. What do you know about this Wimberley team? Have you been able to kind of watch any film on them? And what's it going to take for y'all to go out there on Friday and bring home that state title?
I mean, we don't know a ton about them yet. We're gonna try to find some video and watch and figure out what we can figure out on them. We know they got a really hard throwing right hander, but we know they got another guy who doesn't throw as hard, who's got more wins. So we don't know who we're gonna get, and we're preparing for all of it. We've heard they're scrappy and they're going to compete just like us. I've heard them compared offensively to the Brock team we just faced. But right now we don't know a ton about them, but we're definitely doing our research and gonna find out as much as we can. So we're as best prepared as we can be to take them on.
All right, and what's the rest of this week look like for you? Is there a send-off for the boys headed down to Round Rock? What's the rest of the week look like for you and the Panther baseball team?
Well, we're trying to stay in as normal routine as we can. We lifted this morning at 7 and practiced right after, trying to get ready for that early game on Friday. So we'll do the same the next 2 days, and I believe we're going to do a send off around 12:30 on Wednesday, going down to the state tournament, and we'll get down there and eat some dinner and have a good practice on Friday or on Thursday, and then wake up Friday ready to go.
All right, Coach. Well, we're looking forward to it. We'll be down there to see all the highlights and talk to you down there as well. So best of luck Friday, and we'll be cheering you on.